If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We are good.
Good to go. The Best Boys Center Ice podcast. It's the 9th of April already.
Go.
April. Very intense month when it comes to hockey.
Oh, yeah. Repost.
Okay,
You can go ahead and kind of get us.
All right.
going.
So welcome to the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. And I don't have my phone with me. I must have left it in my...
You don't need it.
That's okay. Welcome to the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. We're running a little late on a wrong day.
You know what? I will say, though, our late night, especially on Wednesdays, our late night shows always are pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to get to record this late in the day.
Yeah, it is kind of different. It's like about 9 o'clock at night here in Central and San Antonio. As we speak, the Oilers are taking the ice against the St. Louis Blues, which is a very important game. We'll get into that.
Also very different that normally we record during the Penguin games.
Yeah, now it's
the other way.
The Oilers games. So I want to give our usual shout outs. You can get the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. All the podcasts are on our YouTube channel, Best Boys Center Ice podcast YouTube channel, which is available on the Refocused Radio Network. You can get that as well as I Am Refocused Radio with Shemaya Reed, Sweep the League with Rudy Campos Jr., and a bunch. There's also a great health show with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston that's on there too. Just check it out, the Refocused Radio Network. And we're live, of course, here on Facebook, and you'll be able to get this recorded. It'll be recorded and available later tonight. It'll be available on the Refocused Radio Network tomorrow, as well as Spreaker.com. As well. And then, of course, the TikTok. We're both back on TikTok doing post games for our teams. Yeah. So we got to start with the talk of the town for the last few weeks. Alexander Ovechkin is the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer. And we had talked about it all season. And I was saying I had a feeling he was going to do it this season. When he got hurt and he was out for a few weeks, there was a little bit. He turned it on and. When it got down to
literally felt like he scored a couple goals every game for it felt like he was scoring at least 6-7 goals a week.
Yeah, he got the hat trick the other. Did he get the hat trick the other night
in the tying game? No, he got 2, but it was still
but he didn't want to go out
on an
and
empty
get
net, which I totally respect and love that. You know what?
Yeah,
I do, because I feel like any competitor would want it to be earned.
Yeah.
And I'd also read too that he had never beaten Sorokin ever.
No,
that was the first time he had ever beaten him, was on that shot.
So Sunday comes around and it's Washington and the Islanders on Long Island, and I'm coming to work. It's an afternoon game. I'm coming to work. I literally got to work, sat down, and was ready to go. Just turn on the game in the background while I'm working, and Carson texted me, says he did it. And I went back and I watched the highlight, and it was a typical Ovechkin goal.
Right from the face-off dot,
it was
snapshot,
the top of the circle, and the crowd in Long Island. You would have sworn that game was in Washington.
Yeah, somebody won the Stanley Cup. I mean, you know what? That everybody in that building got to witness sports history. Really, that's well worth the price of admission right there. Yeah. And I mean, the home fans got to go home happy because Islanders won that game, but. That's not even the important part of that game. No one cared about that. They cared about watching that goal. Yeah. And it was great that the fans reacted so well, and they were all clapping and cheering really loud. And they had the ceremony, which is very unique. You don't see that very often where there's a big ceremony like that as soon as during the game when the record's broken, 20, 30-minute ceremony, but well worth it. I mean, the anticipation was there for this thing. And as advertised, it was not a cheap play that broke it. It was literally a great shot. It was
a power play goal, and it was just a beautiful pass. And like I said, Ovechkin from his spot. When Gretzky was there, he said, much like when he broke Gordie Howe's record, Gordie was the first guy to shake his hand.
I also saw that record was broken against the Islanders too.
Yeah, it was.
So
he was there to shake Ovi's hand. Ovi's family was there. His mother was there. His father-in-law, his wife, and his kids.
Yeah.
And it's just, like we've never been the biggest Alex Ovechkin fans throughout the years.
Especially me.
Yeah. We've never been the biggest Ovechkin fans, but you got to be a fan of this record. You got to be a fan of any time that a record that nobody thought this was going to be broken.
Even
when
he did.
Gretzky did it.
He did. He even said that he didn't think it was going to be
And now,
happening.
he's what now? He's close to going to get 900 next season.
Could be this. He's only 5 away.
So it was just a monumental, a great thing to see. I've watched the highlight. I don't know how many times. A lot of times. And it was just a great feeling to see that, be a part, like being a part of history, like the people in Long Island were there. But, when you're watching it on TV, you're seeing history that you may not see again. Like, I don't know.
I don't think it will.
Who's going to be close?
Matthews is going to be the closest guy, but I just don't see anybody beat. I mean, he's still going to be, Obi's still going to be playing. So who knows where he's going to end up. But yeah, really cool moment. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, that's not all-time goals record because Gretzky's playoffs goals and stuff. But you know what? He even admits it that it's history, and it is. I mean, it takes a lot of skill. It takes more skill now to score in the NHL than it did back in the 80s when Gretzky did it, because the goalies have a lot more padding and equipment. It's a lot harder to score a goal. It really is. And it just shows how great he is at his job, which is being a goal scorer.
And you think about when Gordie Howe had the record, and that had to have been in the 50s, 60s. And then Gretzky, broke the record. It's just one of those great records. Now, you know what? I don't know. Gretzky still has the all-time points.
Oh, and no one's
record. I don't think anybody's going to catch him, because they say without his goals, he'd still be the all-time points leader, with just assists. But it was really cool to see. I'm very happy for Ovi and Washington and the fans and the NHL.
Yeah, it's great for the game.
So everybody was talking about it and everybody was watching it. So wanted to come out with that. Finally, it looks like Avs captain Gabriel Landeskog is going to.
He's in Colorado Eagles.
Yeah, he's with the AHL team on a rehab assignment. He hasn't played since I think March of June of 2022.
When they won the cup.
When they won the cup.
Unfortunate.
That's the last time that he's played a game of hockey.
Really unfortunate injury. It was just a skate cut to his leg, and it just blew up from there from all these problems. So it'd be cool if they can get him back for the playoffs. I mean, he's their captain, he's their leader, he's a great player, and it'd be good to have him back.
Yeah. Now, a guy who is going to come back during the playoffs is Brady Tkachuk of the Ottawa Senators, and Ottawa clinched tonight. I think I saw.
Yeah, yesterday they did.
They clinched, so they need Brady to be there.
Yeah, so they don't need him anymore. I mean, their positioning's pretty much set. I don't think they're going to move.
They got the first wild card spot. I don't think they're not going to be able to do any better than that. Let's see. Okay, tonight the Edmonton Oilers are playing the St. Louis Blues. Would you want to play the St. Louis Blues in the first round?
Yeah.
Because right now, I'm not sure if it would be Vegas that would be playing the Blues. I think it's Vegas that would be playing the Blues in the first round if everything ended today.
Yeah, I would. I mean, that team, the way they're constructed right now, not much of those guys were remaining from the 19 Cup team. They don't have much playoff experience. If it's Vegas, Vegas does. They've won a Stanley Cup. So I would want to play them. I mean, that's a great test right off the bat. If you win that, you've got the hottest team in the league that you just beat. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a good test for sure, and it'd be a good series, but I'd want to play them and get them, kind of be like, well, we're going to take y'all, like, y'all are coming in hot, but we're going to cool that off and dethrone it.
Yeah, because you're right, playoff experience is a big factor.
Difference.
It makes a factor.
It's not the regular season.
No, when you're in.
But to be fair, the Blues have been playing playoff hockey the last couple of weeks with needing to win these games.
And, they are, they got to go into a 7-game series, whether it's against Vegas or whether it's against Winnipeg or whoever they get. It's going to be tough for them to beat a team like that. Now, okay, come on. We got to talk. Speaking of Dallas, we got to talk about that game last night. The Vancouver Canucks in Dallas against the Stars. All right. Very tough place to play. We've seen games that are a very tough place to play. So Dallas is up 5-2 with 1 minute left in the third period. 1 minute left. All right. So you're thinking,
it's over.
All right, it's over. Just hang on. Okay. Well, Vancouver gets a goal. All right.
We've seen that a lot.
Okay. So they get a 6-on-5. Then they get a second goal. And then you're thinking, well, there was only 20 seconds left, I think.
Yeah, it's barely enough
come
time
on.
to get in. You don't win the face-off, the game's over pretty much.
So it's like you're going, come on. Yeah, this and I think the Smith was in that last night. All of a sudden, Vancouver ties the game with 5 seconds left. They go into overtime
and
they win it in overtime. If you're sitting in Dallas, if you're sitting up in the stands with 2 minutes left in the game and you're celebrating because, hey,
you're up 3 goals.
Up 3 goals. We're going to get a big win here. And all of a sudden you walk out of the building and you lose in overtime. The only thing I can compare that to was in the playoffs a few years back when Edmonton played Anaheim. Now the Oilers had a 3-goal lead with 3 minutes left and then gave it up and lost it in overtime.
That one for sure is more significant because it was in the playoffs. That's a embarrassing loss
when you give up 3 goals
in the last minute.
And this is a fantastic Dallas team. And you just wonder, how could this possibly happen?
I said it today. I think they're just falling off a little bit. Honestly, I really do. I think they're just falling off the wagon. Defensively, they're not as tight anymore with Heiskanen being gone. They picked up some guys on the decor, which I don't understand why. I think it's a big concern. I mean, the playoffs are almost here, and those kind of games you can't let slip away. Not like that. Not in the last minute of the game.
No.
But definitely some history there for sure for the league. I mean, again, that hasn't happened before, I don't think.
It never happened.
Good for Vancouver. I mean, they keep their very faint playoff hopes alive by doing that, which is crazy. I mean, the chances literally getting in the final minute, Dallas had a 99.9% chance of winning that game, and it just nope. So cool to see that, but crazy. I would be so mad as a Dallas fan watching that.
Yeah, I would have been beside myself. I would just be like,
I couldn't
really
believe it.
Happened.
Well, I saw that Vancouver had come back, but I figured, okay, if they were down 3 in the third, they maybe have to no. And then I looked at the times of the goals and like 19:01, 19. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
in the last minute of the game.
So yeah, not a way you want to lose a hockey game. No. That's for sure. Especially even though the Stars are in playoff position and at home too, against a team who's not in the playoffs and who is falling off the table. One thing I want to get to before we get to talk about the Oilers in the playoffs and whatnot is the passing of a former Pittsburgh Penguins draft pick goaltender and Hockey Night in Canada Sportsnet analysis, Greg Millen.
Yeah.
I grew up in the era when Greg Millen played, and he played in Pittsburgh. That's where he started. Yeah. He played for Hartford, St. Louis, Quebec, Chicago, and Detroit, and did play for Team Canada at the World Championships in 1982. He was then turned into a hockey analyst for Hockey Night in Canada, now Sportsnet, for 30 years. He was only 67 years old, but I always felt that Greg Millen was one of the most underrated goaltenders in the league at that time in the 70s and the 80s. It's sad, he was young. 67 is not very old. But first I don't know if I was a draft pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So it was sad to see
the original when they were not very good.
Yeah.
And even the other one today, did you see about Ray Shero today?
Yeah, Ray Shero.
So Ray Shero, another one that passed away today, and he, again, Penguin affiliated with the Penguins. He built the Penguins to what they were, winning the cups.
Yeah.
He didn't draft Crosby and Malkin Letang, those guys, but he constructed the team around those guys. Mm-hmm. That within 3 years of coming into the team in 2006 when they were at the bottom, brought them to making the cup final, winning the cup, and then constructing the team that went on to lead them to multiple Stanley Cups in a row in 2016-17. So 2 big losses for the game. He's one of the best general managers ever, and he's actually a big reason for the New Jersey Devils where they're at. He packed guys like Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, I believe, too. So guys that are making up that team right now, he was a part of that, and it's crazy to see, just how fragile some things can be. So, sucks for the game, but their impacts definitely are there for what they did for the game, respectively, as analysts, GMs, players, whatever. Yeah. It's there.
All right. Well, let's go to your trip to Dallas. Saturday afternoon, as the Stars played the Pittsburgh Penguins. And your record hasn't been that great this season, going to Penguins games.
No.
But, going into the Dallas game, the Penguins are out of the playoffs. They were officially eliminated. But
after that game, though, they didn't get eliminated from that game, so
Nope.
I'll take the credit for that. They hung around, but yeah, they're officially.
So Sid gets a hat trick.
Yes.
Sid gets a hat trick. They win 5-3 in Dallas.
Yeah.
You finally get to see them not only win, but Sid get a hat trick.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you seen him get a hattie?
Yeah. I mean, I've only seen him score twice before that. He did it in Dallas 2 years ago, and then he scored against Washington when I went in February. But before I kind of get to that game, because I guess we do our little week that was, the Penguins played only 2 games last week after we had done our show. They played against the Blues on Thursday, which actually they played a really good game. Ended up losing in overtime, giving the Blues their 11th straight win at the time. McGroarty got his first goal in the league. He's looked really good. Sid extended his point streak at the time to 11 straight. And, it was a good game against a hot team. They lost, but still getting a point is, I mean, I know it's not important anymore, but against a team that's playing like that with the Blues, great. Yeah. And then going into the Dallas game at the time, the Stars were on a 7-game win streak, hadn't lost in regulation in 10 games. And I was interested to see how that game was going to be because the Penguins' track record against the Stars hasn't been that great lately. This year, they actually, when they played them in Pittsburgh, Dallas had a 6-0 lead in the first period in that game, which was ridiculous too. I was beside myself, much like the Dallas fans probably were last night watching that. So I didn't know what to expect. And, game started off kind of hot. The Stars got a quick power play in the first 20 seconds of the game. So I was like, it's going to be one of those kind of games where it's going to be penalties, and I didn't want to see all that. Penguins kill it off, and then shortly after they get a power play, and boom, goal. Power play goal. Crosby had a power play goal. Wasn't really intended for him. It was intended for McGroarty from Gino, but his stick was tied up and it went through his legs. Sid grabbed it, snapshot over the blocker high side of DeSmith over his former teammate, Casey DeSmith, which last time I went to Pittsburgh or to Dallas to watch the Penguins play the Stars, DeSmith was the Penguins goalie. So crazy how things change. You have Jerry against DeSmith in that game, but snaps it over the blocker high side and 1-0. And I was like, hot start, Sid gets a goal in 4 minutes. Penguins are winning already. Good. And then the Stars tie the game later in the first. Dadonov got his first of 3. He had a hat trick too, which is neat, dueling hat tricks. Then you go to the second, and the Stars got another goal to Dadonov later in the second. Penguins were out playing the Stars, out shooting them, and they just didn't have the results there. I was kind of worried it was going to be one of those games where they just don't get anything in the net. And they go to the third, and right off the hop in the first 20 seconds, another Crosby goal. McGroarty, beautiful tip. The puck was kind of going around the net and kind of coming out the corner. McGroarty got there and stopped, and he just did a little wedge pass to Sid, and no chance. DeSmith was getting it. Then again, the Stars scored and took the lead, and the hat trick for Dadonov on that one. And I was like, oh no. And then after that one, then Russ had that beautiful, he kind of beat DeSmith there, and Sid got an assist on that one. But play in the corner, Lyubushkin from Dallas had actually fallen behind the net and given the puck up, and Sid passed it over to Russ, who was skating like this around the net. And he just outweighted DeSmith basically and dragged it around, backhand. Awesome goal. And I was thinking, this game's going to OT. We're taking down the last 4-3, 2 minutes. Nothing, a little bit of going on, but nothing too crazy. And then your old boy, Cody Ceci, both of our old boys. People are saying it was Thomas Harley's fault. I think it was Cody Ceci's fault. Thomas Harley's controlling the puck. He loses control of it. And Cody Ceci, instead of skating out of the zone and letting Harley go get it, tries to get the puck and runs right into him and knocked both of them down. And Danton Heinen got the puck on 2-on-1 with Lazat, passed it over, and he squeaked it through to Smith. It looked like it hit right in his body, and it just squeaked behind. And, we had great seats for that one because we're right behind the Penguins goal where they're shooting 3 times. And I just see the shot, and I'm like, it looked like it was just going to hit the Smith. And then you see the net flutter, and I just jumped right out of my seat. It was awesome, last 2 minutes of the game. And so I'm like, all right, just hold the lead here, hold the lead. And the Penguins the Stars pull the goalie. I'm just anticipating something to happen. And then the Stars tried it on that front drive, and it got batted down basically. And the puck gets fired down and in the net. And so I just stand up and, because I couldn't see that far away who got it, because there were 3 guys right there. Like McGroarty was there, Sid was there, whatever. And so I just stand up, and then all of a sudden I see hats. I'm like, oh, no way. And then they pan the camera, and sure enough, he got it. I had to make sure on the replay that no one touched it, because there were so many people there and no one touched it. Even though it's an empty netter, cool shot. It was like 185 feet away in dead center. Like it hit the pad dead center, and I was like, awesome. And I had to pretend, grab my hat, and throw it off.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool because someone had a hat that they threw kind of above me, and it actually landed right next to me. So I grabbed it and I threw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as bad as the Penguins this season's been, they're not going to make the playoffs. Went to 9 games this season. The Penguins only won 1. By far the best game I've ever watched, because Sid being my favorite player, seeing him score a goal was already enough for me. But a hat trick and an assist, a 4-point game, literally probably his best game of the season. And his first hat trick this year, his only 14th of his career. So how rare is that? A guy that's going to go top 5 all time, most likely, 14 hat tricks, and I got to see one of them in an arena where he's never really scored. He finally got his first goal there 2 years ago, and that's the last arena that he had scored in. But I'm not counting Utah at the time. But even he had scored in Climate Pledge in Seattle before that. And he just had a whale of a game against Dallas, and it was so cool. Definitely the best experience I've had at a hockey game. That makes up for the Penguins losing all those games, literally seeing that hat trick, because as much as the standings didn't mean nothing for the Penguins, he played a great game. He did. And the Penguins played a really good game. Outshot Dallas 40-24. So really cool memory, to have. And that's something I'll never be able to forget. And I can't ever say I didn't. I got to see Sid get a hat trick in the flesh, and his only second career hat trick against a Western Conference team, by the way. The other one was against the Avalanche a few years ago. But yeah, definitely, even all week, still been like watching the clips I got of that game and stuff, because that's just a memory I'll never forget. No matter how old I get, how bad the Penguins are, that's just an unbelievable experience to see him get a hat trick and the team win. I couldn't describe it. It was just unbelievable,
And now, they play out the string, and then they get ready for the off season.
Yeah. And I'm very happy with, I want them to make the playoffs. I do. Obviously they're not going to, but the direction of this team is going great. I mean, they got the 2 younger guys in there, Koivunen and McGroarty, who have looked really, 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 really good. Like they're ready to be there next year. This is a Penguins team that I really think can do something. I mean, do I say win the cup? I want them to, but I don't think they really can. But I think they can make the playoffs. I really do. They've got the guys there, and I'm glad that they kept them in Wilkes-Barre all year, because they developed them, and they'll be going back for the playoffs too. Well, McGroarty's hurt right now, but who knows? But they were developed right, and that gives me a lot of faith in the way that they're developing the team down there, because those guys are gonna have to come up and play. I think this can be a good team. If Kyle Dubas goes to work in the offseason and can get some younger guys like he did Tomasino and guys of that nature who he's fit in really well, that can be a good team. So, the season's basically done. The Penguins have 3 more games, but that was just an unbelievable experience, texting you during the updates, like, Sid goal, Sid another goal. And then I was like, and then I said, Hattie. I was like, Hattie.
The one thing I think the Penguins, of course, need to do, kind of like what the Oilers need to do, is shore up their goaltending.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the worst. They're probably they're one of the. I think they're the second worst goaltending team, and it's just no matter what, the Penguins just can't keep the puck out of their net. They have a lot of games where they outshoot the other team and they let in 5 or 6, and it's like that. That can happen. Goaltending. I think you got a new goaltending coach in there. I don't know what you do with Jari, if you keep him or if you get rid of him. I think they'll end up getting rid of Ned. Honestly, he hasn't been that great this year. Just better goaltending. Yeah. I mean, this team had a lot more goal scoring this year. But one thing I want to add to, and I'll kind of say a couple things I wanted to mention, and then we'll go to the Oilers for the game, just because we're kind of on that subject. That was the first time in how many games I've seen the Penguins play where they scored more than 3 goals. Yeah, never seen them score more than 3. That's been the number where I stopped. And nope, they crushed that and got 5. But yeah, goaltending. I mean, obviously you piece things around Sid. I hope that they keep Raquel. He's been really good. He's at 30, almost 34 goals, I think. Another guy that I think people really just don't like, that I really think the Penguins need to keep and hold on to, is Erik Karlsson. As much as he's getting older, he's 34, big contract, but when he does certain things, there's nobody really out there that can do that. The way he plays the game, he plays like an offensive defenseman, and he's so good at what he does that like there's no one else that can do that. There isn't. Like there's nobody that can play up the rush like him and like toe the line. He's really I mean, you watch some Penguin games. He is really good at maneuvering the line.
Yeah.
When he gets the puck by the blue line, he's able to maneuver the blue line and really just gain control of the puck and filter it through. He's had a good amount of points this year. He's got a lot of goal scoring. But people want to see him gone. I don't. I mean, if you get rid of him, then it is what it is. I've also been worried that maybe he's just not fit to play in the Penguins system. But I truthfully think if you let him play the way he should play, he's a great player. He's won the Norris Trophy. 100 points. That's a very rare thing for a defenseman to get 100 points, and he did it. He has offensive potential. That's why he's here. He's not here to play defense. I hate to say it, but he's not. He's here to play offense. He's here to score. He's here to get assists. And the Penguins management, whoever's running all that show, needs to just understand this is what he does. He's not the greatest defensively, but boy, when he's on fire offensively, there's a handful of defensemen maybe that can do that. Even at his age, he's still an elite guy. Yeah, goaltending, defense, I mean, that's the Penguins' biggest key. I like their forward group. I mean, I think a couple of guys need to go like Nieto and guys of that nature that just don't really add too much. Like, they brought in Lazard. He's been a great fit. Even Dewar that they got from Toronto has been a great fit. Connor Timmins, too, he's an A+ for me. Yeah, I mean, always sucks when the season winds down. I feel like we were just talking about it starting up 6 months ago, ready for their opening night against the Rangers. And unfortunately, playoffs for the Penguins again. But I'm happy about the outlook of the team. I feel like next year they're truly going to be a good team. It's just going to be goaltending. The goal scoring was there for this team this year. It's just goaltending wasn't, and that's just the nature of it. Overall, the season was a pretty, disappointment, but a success. Sidney Crosby played so good, got his point per game record.
Yeah.
Certain guys got to shine, like the new guys. Tomasino got his shot and to show what he can do. But it's just one of those things. They're on their decline right now, and I'm just hoping next season they'll be ready. But a few more Penguin games, and that'll be it.
You've got to, when you don't make the playoffs, you got to turn it around. And next, look, Washington barely made the playoffs last year, out in the first round, didn't even win a game. And now they're the number one seed in the East.
You still have to keep a team serious that has Sid on it and Gino and those guys, that they're still going to be a legit team. People want them to tank. Other Penguin fans want them to tank, and like my group pages I follow. And it makes me crazy because I'm like, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Crystal Tang aren't going to tank. They're not. And they're professional athletes. They're not paid to tank.
No.
They go out there and win. They're trying to go out there and win. And that's the logic I don't understand. You take for a better pick. I get that, but why?
Yeah, why?
You got guys on there that aren't going to be around much longer. You got to try to win. And, the game against Dallas, they interviewed Sid after the game, and, they asked him, because obviously it was pretty unlikely the Penguins are going to make the playoffs. And he said, we understand the position we're in, something along the nature of, we know what it takes to get there. We've done it. It's just about making sure the guys believe and kind of being ready to go. And we understand that the chances are slim, but, we're going to do our best to get back. And truthfully, I think led by him, that's going to be something, a very big possibility. And again, Kyle Dubas, I give an A+ to him. He's done a great job with what he came into, giving this team a lot of hope for the future, getting a lot of draft picks as well as prospect who have just turned out to be really good. And the team in Wilkes-Barre has been really good, making the playoffs. That's what you want to see out of your farm club. So, I'm just excited for the offseason, as well as I'm excited to really watch the playoffs. I said it last year when we did the show. Even when the Penguins don't make the playoffs, I love watching the playoffs. There's no better hockey than playoff hockey. But I'm
it's
just
intense.
Yeah.
It's just every game is just like on point.
But as a fan, I'm still going to be watching the rest of these games for the Penguins, the last three. Cheering them on to win. They actually had a big win last night against Chicago, 5-0 shutout. So I'm ready to watch the last few games, enjoy them while I can, and then be ready to watch after that. Switch my fandom to the Oilers for a couple months. Join forces
with me and the rest of the Besse family. All right, speaking of the Oilers, right now,
let's see what the score is.
Third place in the Pacific, 4 back of the Kings for second, 10 back of Vegas for first. I don't think they don't have a shot at the Pacific Division. Now they need to win tonight in any form or fashion, overtime or regulation, and Calgary to lose in regulation.
Zip.
At 0-0 tonight so far. So win by the Oilers and a loss in regulation by Calgary and Edmonton is officially in. As we found out about 3 or so hours ago, Connor McDavid wasn't expected to be in the lineup tonight, and he's going to be in the lineup tonight against St. Louis.
You're welcome. I broke that news to you.
Yeah, he broke that news, and I went, oh, man, really?
They don't need the insiders on Sportsnet and ESPN. They have me.
They have Carson. So now the Oilers IR list is still pretty big.
Yeah,
Draisaitl's on there. Nugent Hopkins out tonight with an illness. Trent Frederick, he re-injured his.
Did he really?
Yeah, he re-injured it. The one game he came out and looked good in the beginning, but he re-injured his leg. Matthias Ekholm is still out. John Klingberg is still out, and Stuart Skinner's still out. Now they're all saying that everybody should be ready to go.
The Oilers
for the playoffs
have no reason right now to really hurt any of those guys back. I mean, yeah, you want the home ice, but they're most likely not going to get it. And I mean, you know what?
Well, you know what? And like
they've beaten LA already, playing in LA before.
The Oilers are one of the few teams that have won 20 games on the road and at home. So that doesn't
it's
really,
even.
That doesn't matter too much. But you know, as a fan, you want to see them clinch as soon as you can.
Well, I mean, we talked about it today. This gives a shot to as we call them, the other guys, to step up and show, hey, we're the Edmonton Oilers. Yep. We're still the Edmonton Oilers, even without McDavid. We're gonna kick your butt.
Now you go from a game that's like speed scoring to like that tight check-in.
And I mean, against the Blues, who are in a big position to try to make the playoffs, and these games matter for them. They can get in, and they're going to play hard, and this is going to be a test for the Oilers tonight.
I think guys like Corey Perry, Arvidsson, Skinner, Henrique, and Janmark, and of course the defense, because the game against Anaheim the other night, the Oilers lost 3-2.
Rodrigue played really good in that game.
Rodrigue, he was his first ever NHL start. He played in Bakersfield the last 5 years.
He did well.
He did really well. The Oilers outshot the Ducks like 47.
Who was in debt for them? Was it Dostal or was it?
Dostal was.
Dostal
stood on his head.
He's been really good this year.
There's been some times where he came up with saves that the Oilers outplayed Anaheim,
and
it's just
these young goalies.
Yeah.
I mean, him, Dustin Wolf.
Yeah,
come on, like these guys are just good.
So tonight with McDavid in the lineup, don't know how many minutes he's going to get.
I would think like 15.
Yeah.
20.
So, but it is nice to see 97 out there, and because the Oilers have yet to play a hockey game in the regular season without the full complement because of Evander Kane. Now, Evander Kane is expected to come back into the playoffs. That gives you a little bit more toughness.
Who do you think's gone for him, though?
I think Evander Kane would take, I want to say, you know what? Because I like Podkolson's aggressiveness. I like Arvidsson. I think Jeff Skinner is going to be the guy, because you put Evander Kane in there, and that gives you that toughness with Corey Perry and Darnell Nurse.
I'd be worried about putting a Kane back just because he hasn't played. I mean, did he play this year?
No, he hasn't played at all. But I think you put him out there for the first few minutes just to get that, just for the hit, his toughness.
Yeah,
his hitting.
Has he been practicing with the team?
Yeah, he's been practicing with the team. Now, in this time where 97 and 29 have been out, the team didn't look too bad.
They looked fine.
They looked fine. They looked like a team that could handle themselves. But when you take out the top two players in the league,
and that rarely happens in the playoffs, where both your big guns are gone, and it's just not the same game. And they still held pretty strong. I mean, those teams are still legit.
Vegas. They beat Vegas in Vegas the other night, and so again, the Oilers playing the Blues tonight, and then they got it at home to San Jose Friday, in Winnipeg Sunday, at home to the Kings on Monday, and then the season finale in San Jose a week from tonight. Now, who we talked about this last week as well, your most disappointing team of the year.
I mean,
across the board.
Across the board, huh? See, I'd like to say Nashville because of what they did in the offseason, but Nashville, other than when they made the final in 2017, they've never been that big hitting team that does make a big splash. I've got to say probably Boston then. Yep. I mean, look at they were a good team last year. 2 years ago, they had the best record in NHL history, and now they're going to be last place in the Eastern Conference at the end of the season.
Yeah.
What a big turnaround in 2 years. And, you in the process lose Allmark, who led Ottawa partially, or was a big reason Ottawa made the playoffs this year. And not putting that on Swayman again, but just saying Allmark led them to the playoffs. You traded your captain for peanuts. And I wouldn't go back to Boston if I were him.
No.
How much longer is Pastrnak going to stay?
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, I want to win a cup. He hasn't won a cup yet. How long is he going to stay? If you lose Pastrnak, then what? You've got nothing.
Yeah,
you literally retool from nothing.
Yeah.
And Boston's prospect pool, I don't think, is all that good.
No.
So they're in a tough spot. I mean, really unfortunate. Just horrible management, I think, by that team. They
the wheels fell off really quick.
Yeah, I mean, literally, they were in a playoff spot probably like 2 months ago, if not less than that. And they lost 11 straight games. They traded Brad Marchand. They just did the whole 9 yards. And it's just a disaster.
No, I agree. Boston is my disappointing team. Vancouver's right up there too.
I don't know about
but Vancouver was a one and
what about the Rangers too?
Yeah,
but I think Boston still.
I think if the Rangers lose tonight, they're out officially. I think is what I saw. If they're playing, I can't remember who they're playing, but if they lose tonight,
the Flyers.
Yeah,
Let's see if they won because that game's over.
Yeah, because they were saying if the Rangers lose, then they're
Flyers
out.
won.
Yeah, so I think the Rangers are gone. Here's a team that was the President's Trophy winner.
Let's see.
And,
let me take a look to make sure, give the verbal confirmation here. They're not technically eliminated because they have more regulation wins than Montreal. However, Montreal just needs one more point in the rest of the season to eliminate the Rangers.
Yeah,
so they're gone. Not really disappointing, but it's sad that Columbus didn't get there. They were doing really well, and I think they just they fell off a little bit. But again, that's a team that's got a bright future ahead of them. But yeah, Boston's my answer. I mean, I just don't think they're not going anywhere now. They're done. I mean, they're done. One thing I want to talk about related to the Oilers that's just been on my mind. We've talked about it so many times. I don't understand Bouchard this season.
Yeah, I don't get him.
It's just been not very good.
His defense is not there.
And his offensive production's nowhere it was.
So it's like, and he's supposed to be a re-sign up year coming up.
What do you think you do?
You know what, the way he played this year, they better not make another Darnell Nurse mistake in giving him a bunch of money. I think Bouchard is a good player, but he makes too many defensive mistakes. And it's like it's not like just for a chunk of the season, all season long. If there's a fumble or a giveaway in the zone, Bouchard, or he seems lazy sometimes when he's getting back, or when he's even at the point trying to keep the puck in the offensive zone, he's lazy.
Yeah.
And without him being with Ekholm to have his back, he doesn't know how to play defense. I think while he's still got some stock,
trade him.
You probably trade him and get another solid offensive defenseman in there. I like Evan Bouchard.
Would you be upset if they re-signed him for not Darnell money, but
I don't know.
Or do you think you just prefer that they just bite the bullet and trade him?
Just trade him. It's the same thing with Stu Skinner. I love Stu Skinner. He has his moments, he has his great times, and he has his really bad times. And I just think the Oilers have gone with him for 3 years now. Calvin Pickard should be, I don't know, Calvin Pickard should be starting in the playoffs. Pick has played incredible since Stu's been out. I just think that the Oilers, much like the Penguins, need to retool the goaltending side of it. And nobody wants to, like Stu's an Edmonton boy.
Get rid of guys, but you have to.
But you have to if you want to,
it's a business.
If you want to continue to compete for the Stanley Cup, you've got to have everything, your goaltending, your defense, and your offense going. The offense we're not worried about. The defense, there's a couple of holes that need to be filled, but it's the goaltending that needs to really be reshortened.
Who for the playoffs, because we pretty much know who's going to be in for the most part. It's not officially confirmed, but there's a handful of teams that are still trying to make it. Who is going to be your team you think that could be the team that just falls off the wagon that shouldn't be?
Florida. I've seen Florida play the last few games, I've seen Bob not be Bob-like. I think Florida could fall off, be the team that won't get out of the second round.
Okay.
I just, like that's, I think
it.
two
I like
years
your
in a row in
answer.
the Stanley Cup final, they're going into another playoff. I just see Florida
Falling off a little bit.
not being able to get past the second round.
All right.
And like, I don't think they have, I think
they lost a lot of guys this season.
Yeah, and I think, they won, they won the cup. They've been to the cup 2 years in a row. They won it last year, Game 7, big historical Game 7. I just think that 3 years in a row is not going to happen.
Okay.
It's not like back in the day when the Islanders went 4 years in a row, or the Oilers
Lightning did 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row.
Yeah,
not that long ago.
And I think the team that I think is going to fall off is going to be Florida. If you look at the Western Conference, I think the team that's going to fall off are the Dallas Stars. I hate to say it because I like Dallas, but I think Dallas could be that team that somebody could get, and get them.
I wholeheartedly agree with Dallas, and this is my take on that. So after watching them play, especially the other day, but in general, number one, this is my opinion. It's not necessarily fact, but it's just my opinion. I think they're going to regret the Mikko Rantanen trade.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he's a prima donna.
Yeah.
So the way he handled everything with leaving Carolina, he basically went there and said, I'm not playing here. And then it was a whole saga. And then he had known that he wasn't going to stay there. And then he forced them to trade him. So Carolina got some good pieces out of that. They got Stankoven back there. Unfortunately, they had to give up Natchez for that trade, which looks bad for them because he's been great in Colorado. So he screwed the Canes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think he's went to Dallas. And as crazy as this sounds, well, not really crazy, but I went to that game on Saturday. And until like halfway through the second period, I completely forgot that Mikko Rantanen was a Dallas Star.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice him. I did not notice him at all. Nothing.
Yeah.
I noticed Evgeny Donanov, who is a third, fourth liner for them, more than him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like that's just going to be a deal that blows up in their face.
Yeah.
I give him the applause for trying. And he's a good player when he wants to be, but that's when he wants to be.
Yeah, it's on his terms.
Yes,
and that's not what a hockey player should be.
And I mean, defensively, I don't know what the Stars did this season with getting Lyubushkin. I don't know why they got Cody Ceci.
Yeah.
Matt Dumba, another guy. I don't know why they got him. If Heiskanen's not there for the first round, that the only defensemen they really got are Lindell and Harley. But and in my opinion, too, watching, I mean, DeSmith's a good backup. But even Otter, I feel like hasn't been as solid as he normally is.
That's what I'm afraid of. Is like, Otter's not been Otter-like this year.
I'm very concerned about that for Dallas. I could just, I think they're going to be my team out of the West that just flops, like bad. And for the East, I mean, it's tough to say because I've said that I don't think Carolina's going to do much of anything. But I mean, I don't probably, if anything, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love for them to do well after the season with everything with Ovi, but they have a good team. But again, I think that if you take Ovechkin out of the picture, it's hard for them to get anything going. I mean, look what the Rangers did last year against them. They shut Ovechkin down, and that was it. Yeah. I mean, he didn't do much of anything. And goaltending, I mean, they have Logan Thompson in there and Charlie Lindgren, who both have very little playoff experience, where if they have to play, depending who they match up against, is it because the playoff seeding, it's one versus wild card, right?
Well, one would play the second wild card.
And then one would play the first, depending on record. So you could see Washington potentially having to play against Montreal or Ottawa, which is probably going to be Montreal if they make it in there. But I don't know. I mean, can I say Toronto counting as falling off because they're not really a high seed. They're going to be the third seed, or second seed. But that team's just not built to win either. Mm-hmm. They have that stigma around them that they can't do anything. And I said it last week that I don't think the Toronto Maple Leafs made the right changes to that team to make them a Stanley Cup caliber team. They decided to build their team around Austin Matthews this season, and they didn't really get anybody to make their team any tougher. One guy they have on there that really packs a punch, and Ryan Reeves is in the Marlies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when they go to the playoffs, and they're playing probably Florida, and you've got Kachuk and Marchand against you,
mm-hmm.
How's that going to go for them? I mean, they're going to literally try to annoy the crap out of Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and those guys. Mm. I think the Leafs are going to be
not even one and done.
I wonder if this is finally the season, if it goes wrong, where they make a big change and pull the plug, like on Marner getting out of there, on Nylander getting out of there, because this team is not going anywhere, and they've invested so much money into those guys.
Well, if they don't make it out of the first round again this year,
that's going to be so many straight times.
That's going to be, they're going to have to do
and whoop-de-doo, they made the second round 2 years ago, but they got beaten 5. Yeah. So, I mean, it's because, it's funny to me because Leafs fans sometimes are very arrogant. They think their team is all that, and then they get to the playoffs and they get crushed.
Yeah.
You're a good regular season team, good for you, but you haven't won a cup in 60 years.
Yeah.
That's not saying for all Leaf fans. I'm saying certain Leaf fans that think that the Leafs are high and mighty, and every year Austin Matthews is this. Okay, those same guys don't play in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They don't play. They don't show up. They get there and they don't do anything, or they don't play in the games because they're injured or they think they can't play. You're a hockey player.
Yeah,
it's embedded in your blood to play.
You play the game in the playoffs. If you're hurt, if you're injured, that's one thing. If you're just hurt.
How many times have we seen it over time? Look at, Zdeno Chara in the 19 when they lost to the Blues, got his jaw crushed by a puck, couldn't eat food, had his jaw wired shut and had a cage, and he was playing.
Yep.
He was playing.
Like last year, Evander Kane played with that hernia. Draisaitl has played with an injury a couple of playoffs, and he just played.
Well, even the other things like the Four Nations, like a Kachuk playing through what he had, and he still played.
Yeah,
like that. They just don't have those guys on that team. Don't have that same energy.
It's just we're getting close to that trophy being played for, and that's. I've said this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. That trophy is the most coveted trophy in sports.
Is this a year that you take the lead on me for Stanley Cup championships?
Well, I still believe, the Oilers, if they're completely healthy and they go into the playoffs and they play like they can
do it.
And if they get the goaltending gets solid, they can do it.
It's going to be for them one game at a time. Don't look forward.
No, you got to play. Looks like the Kings. And then you got to move on, and then you got to move. You can't look too far ahead because the Kings are going to be hungry.
Do you think? Well, sorry, go ahead.
The Kings are going to be hungry because they've lost to the Oilers 3 years in a row.
Yeah. Do you think that the NHL should look into changing the formatting for the playoffs, doing 1 through 8 seeding instead? Because I love seeing the same matchups because it brings the intensity, but I feel like sometimes it gets a bit old seeing the same matchups over and over again.
Yeah, I think a 1 versus 8 instead of that within
divisional.
Like your first round is a divisional.
It would create a lot of different matchups. Like you would.
I just think because you're going to see the Kings and the Oilers again for the 3rd year in a row,
and it's great. It's great hockey, but
no, I think you're right. I think they need to change it to just take the conference 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, whoever the points are like that. And that's how you play.
I would even like if they did a 1 versus 16.
Yeah.
So seed them in the league standings.
Because that's when when the Oilers came into the NHL and there were 21 teams, it was 1 versus 16.
Which I like that. It would create for crazy matchups you would never see.
Yeah. And then they decided to go with the division.
Which I get because travel part of it and but to go as far.
It's just an exciting time of the year. Seeing who's going to make it into the playoffs. And next, we're going to be back on Tuesday. So the next podcast we do will be
next Tuesday's the 16th, which or 15th. Yeah. So regular season should be about wrapped up.
The Oilers have their one more game on Wednesday of next week. So the playoffs start on the 19th.
Sunday.
Yeah,
no 20th. Is it the 19th?
I think it's the 19th. But not 19th or 20th. So next week we will have
we got triple headers galore for a couple weeks.
We will have a better look at who's in, who's out. We'll be able to do our playoff matches. We'll talk a little bit more about the playoffs. And it's just an exciting time of the year. And we're going to wrap things up tonight. I want to, again, you can get the Best Boys Center Ice podcast on our YouTube channel on the Refocused Radio Network. You can also get it on Spreaker starting tomorrow. And we're going to continue to do our TikTok.
Yep.
And throughout the playoffs, we're going to be all over every game.
We'll
every
probably
series.
be doing. I imagine we'll be doing stuff almost nightly.
Yeah,
because there's going to be tons of games. I mean,
it's going to be kind of like a wrap up,
especially for the first. Yeah, like we did last year. We did nightly wrap ups, but especially in the first round because there's going to be 3 games, if not more. Well, more than that a night.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to have to recap those games and go over the games because we're going to be watching them.
Yep. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully, you're going to be looking forward to that too. Everything starts, like you said, on the 19th, and it's just the greatest time of the year. So that's going to do it for us. In the meantime, and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night. Yes, I did. You gave me 1 week's grace.